Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Ajalam here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you're new to my channel, kindly subscribe and turn on the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post new videos. And for my returning subscribers, thank you so much for the love and support. I really appreciate you all. So this is the sewing part of the Princess Cinderella theme dress. So if you're interested in seeing how the dress will turn out, keep on watching. Using for this project, and this is the pattern that we drafted out the last time. I am going to drop the link in the description box so that you can check it out to see how we drafted out this pattern. This is for the upper part, so I will go ahead now and place them on my fabric and then cut it out, and also add my sewing allowance, okay, where it's needed. So I'll just go ahead now and cut out this on the upper part before we now move over to the lower part. Everything cut out using the pattern. This is the front, and I also cut the same on my lining. This is the lining. So I am going to start with this. Okay, for this I cut out two pieces of this. I'll be using one as my lining as well. So we're going to start sewing from this one. So I'm going to place it, making sure that the front is facing each other so that I can sew the neck line. So I'm going to take this now and I'm going to place it where, and then sew the neckline before we continue. So this is it after sewing it. This is the inside. So I just turn it and then gave it a good press. So I'm going to take the other one. I'll keep this aside and I'll take this now. This is the part that we're going to pipe, and I'll be adding that to this princess and that. Okay, so this is the next part now that we're going to sew. Okay, so I'm going to take this, okay, and use it to attach it on this before sewing this on top. So I'm going to cut a bias strip now from this. Okay, if you have your cord, you can attach your cord to it, but if you don't have, you can also use your plain fabric like this and then use it to sew. I also have a video on how to pipe. If you want to pipe anything with a cord, I have a video on that, and I'll also drop the link in the description box. So let me just go ahead and cut out a bias strip of this, and then you can attach it here. So this is it. I just sew my bias strip on this princess cut. So I'm going to take now this part and join it together and then give it a good press. I'll also repeat the same on this other side, and then we can now join this to this part. Whatever I did here, I'm going to do the same on my lining. The only difference now is that I will not be adding a bias strip to the lining. So I'll just sew the princess line on my lining, and that is just that. So I'll now add this to it. So before all that, let me just sew this so that we can continue. So here it is after sewing it, after sewing the princess line. Now you can see that my bias strip is very tiny. If you don't want it tiny, you can just sew it in a way that it will suit what you want. And remember, I said I repeated the same This is my lining. I did the same on the lining. So I am going to take this one now. Okay, this is the back and this is the front. So I'm going to place it in a way that the front will be facing each other. So I'm going to pin it here now and then sew it this way and turn it this other way and also sew as well. And then I'm going to give it notches and then give it a good press. So this is what it looks like after sewing. Like I said, when you finish, you need to notch it so that it will relax by the time you give it a good press. So this is the front and this is the back. So I'm going to place it like this now and take my lining and sew it on top. This is the wrong side and this is the right side, so always make sure that the right side is facing each other. So I'm going to place it there also and start from this midpoint here, or this center point, and also sew this way and turn this one and also sew as well. So after sewing now, I will now turn it and give it a good press. After joining my lining, this is how the back looks. As you can see, you have a very neat inseam finishing. This is the front. Now if you open it up, all your stitching is inside. So now I'm going to keep this aside and then sew the back part of this. This is the front. So now I have my back here. Okay, so it's time to place. You take your lining and place it over and sew the neckline first. This is the neckline. Okay, so I'm going to sew the neckline first and then repeat the same on this other part, and then I'll give it a good press. So here is the back, and as you can see, I just sewed the back neckline and the darts for the back, and I repeat the same on the lining. So now I'm going to place this on the front so that we can cut out any excesses on the armhole part. So this is the front now. I'm going to take just one of these and place it over. Okay, this is our 1 inch for the zipper allowance. Now you can see I'll just place it this way so that I can cut off this excess here. Okay, so it's as simple as that. I'll repeat the same on the other side. Okay, so this is it. So now I have the front and the back ready to join with the lower part. So now let's move over to the lower part and do the cutting and the sewing. Alright, here I have my floral organza, and then I'm going to divide it into two because this dress is going to have 3 lines here each here. So I'm going to keep one which I'll be using for the back, and then I'm going to fold this so that we can create the Basque effect for the lower part. So let me just fold this. So here it is. I just folded it and I cut out the length of the lower part. So what I have here is, I'm using 23 inches, all my sewing allowance joined together. So here is 23 inches, and I just folded it so that we can cut off the 2 inches that we used for the Basque effect on this waist area. Okay, so now I'm going to mark out that point here. So this is it. I just marked out the 2 inches for the Basque effect, and I'm going to connect it straight to this point here. It's supposed to meet this end. Okay, so let me just use my ruler and connect. Alright, here it is. I just cut it off at once. Just mark that out and then connect and cut it off. At the end of the day, it will give you that V shape here. As you can see, it's not straight. You can see that V shape right there. So at this point, whatever I did here, I'm going to cut on my satin because this is transparent, and I'm going to use, okay, I'm using taffeta because I don't want that much weight. So whatever I cut out here, I'm going to cut the same on my taffeta. taffeta, I am going to sew it first. I'll just run a straight stitch to secure it before pleating this part. This part I'm going to pleat it, but a very light pleat. So let me just sew and then pleat so that we can also do the same on the back one. So here it is. I just gave it a very light box pleat, okay, and I will also repeat the same on the back one. This is going to be in the front, so I'm going to keep this aside. It's time to fix the band to this upper part. Now to fix the band, I have a band here which I cut out already. This is by 2 inches, and now for you, you know, you can't place it straight now as it is, so I'm going to fold it into 2, and I'll use say 3/4 inch and sew it this way. Okay, so this is how I'm going to sew now. Okay, so I'm going to sew to join back to this point so that by the time you turn, okay, it will now fit in on this waist area. So let me just stitch this now and join it before joining this part to this dress. So here it is. I just sewed that, and then it's time to join the lower part. Now this is the front, so I'm going to take this now and place it. This is the midpoint. I will join it together with this and also sew it in. So this is it. After joining this with the lower part, now you can see that the dress is already looking so beautiful. So I'll go ahead now and pleat the back side and also join it so that we can close the sides together. So here it is the back. I pleated it as well and then joined with the upper part, as you can see. So I'm going to take the front and place it over this so that we can close the sides together, leaving remaining the lining and my zipper. So I'm going to place it over now and mark the chest and the waist measurement, and then follow it that way and close the sides together. Joining the sides together, this is what it looks, and we are going to join the lining. And for the lining, I am going to cut it same way I cut my taffeta, and for this I'll be using what I have left of my taffeta to use as the lining. So I'm going to take that now and cut out the length. So here I have it cut out, and your lining should be 2 inches shorter than your main fabric. So for this you can use cotton lining. I am just using this because this is what I have left. I don't want it to waste. So I will go ahead now and minus, or rather cut out the 2 inches that we use to create the Basque effect. So I'll go ahead and cut it off and then pleat the front and also pleat the back so that we can join it on the lining. So here it is. After joining the lining, I'm going to turn it now so that you see how the inside looks. So this is what it looks inside. This is the lining. I just join it with the upper lining and then close the sides as well. Now you see that you have a clean inseam finishing. So all your rough work is inside, but all you need to do now is to use your weaving machine or your serger and then remove all this rough, thread here and there. Okay, so this is the front and this is how the back side is with the lining. This is it. Okay, so now we are going to add the sleeve so that we can add the zipper and we are done with this dress. But before we continue, remember that this floral organza I ended up using 1.5 yards, but my taffeta I used the 3 yards because I decided to use same thing as my lining. So if you're working with satin, you go with whatever you're using as the organza is what you're going to use throughout with your satin and your lining. Okay, so you don't make sure to note that. I'm going to take the remaining of my taffeta so that we can cut out the sleeve. So this is what I have left of my taffeta, and here I have, this is 24.5, this is 49 inches because this is on fold, and this other way I think is not to half yard. Okay, so this is 16 inches here. Okay, so now we are going to for you to know the length of your sleeve, all you need to do is to take your tape and check the round the shoulder measurement. So for this, the round the shoulder measurement is 34. Okay, so now that it's 34, I'm going to check what I have here already. So here now I have, this is 13. I have 13 here, so that means I have 26 because this is front and back. So I have 26 inches. So if you minus the 34 by 26, I'll have I think 3, is it 3 and 3/4? Let me check. So I just did that calculation. 34 minus 26, that will give me 8 inches. So that is what we'll be working with the sleeve. So the sleeve should be 8 inches, which is for both the front and the back for each side. Okay, so let me keep this aside. All right, here this, I'll just open it up and put it on fold. Remember that we're working with 8 inches now. Okay, but I'm going to add half an inch for my sewing allowance for the both the front side and the back side, making it 8.5. So I'm going to fold till I have 8.5. Okay, and remember, this is the part that we're going to gather, or you can make this side your ruffle. And again, it depends. If you want so much volume, you need to increase this, okay, so that by the time you gather, it will give you exactly what you want. But this is what I have left. I'm going to use it like that. So on fold, I should have 4 1/4. Okay, so this is 4 1/4 here. I'm going to cut it off. 4 pieces of that cut out. This is 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now these two, okay, these two here, as you can see, I use my hairstay to secure it very well because I want this part to have a little, volume. So now I'm going to take one is going to be my lining. So I'll start by sewing the sides together. So I'm placing it this way now, as you can see, front facing each other, and then I'm going to close it up on the sides like this, and I will repeat the same on this second one. So after sewing it, this is what I have. I just turn it inside out and then give it a good press. So I'm going to take this now and use my gather stitch and run a gather stitch all the way down, and I'll also do the same on this other end, and then I'll repeat same on this second one. So after sewing it and I just gathered it, this is what it looks. And then for you to know how many inches you need to gather, you need to take your dress now and check what you have from this point to this armhole ending here. So I'll just check what I have here. I have 4 1/4. So I need to gather this and pull it till I have 4 1/4 on each side. So after that, now I am going to take this and then join it this way. You just take it. It's as easy as that. You just sew it in and join it, making sure that it will end on this point. Then you repeat the same on the other side. So here it is after joining the sleeve, and there's something I want to correct here. When you're joining the sleeve, make sure you have at least 2 inches space here so that the baby hand can pass through. If you sew it and reach to this armhole ending here, it might be difficult for the baby hand to pass through. So make sure to leave some inches here for that ease. So this is what I have, and I'm almost done. So now I'm going to sew in the zipper, and now to do that, this is the back, is still open. I'm going to turn it inside out now as it is, okay, and then I'm going to take them one by one and then close this. I'll just sew and close it till I get to wherever I ended the zipper line. So after sewing that with the lining together, I have something like this, and now you can see when you do it this way, you have a neat inseam finishing at the back. Now you can see how the zipper part, how it is looking very clean. So you can now go ahead and add your baby zipper to the dress and you are good to go. So guys, this is the final look of the dress, and if you don't know how to attach an invisible zipper, I have a video on how to go about that, step-by-step illustration. You can also check that out to know how to attach an invisible zipper to a ball dress. So guys, that is it for today. Please subscribe if you have